Beautiful spring day here in Sarasota. And for the Orioles, no matter what the face on it is, we've seen some good play. Adam Jones, Jonathan Scope delivering the long ball, and Adam with that gold glove performance in center field earlier. Now it's the Philadelphia Phillies as the Orioles and Phillies play some spring training baseball. The beautiful sunshine here in Sarasota, Florida. The Bird having a good time with the kids who showed up today, got to march around the field. Some of the young ball players, who knows, one day maybe they'll be playing some spring training baseball. Phillies here today to take on the O's. Hi, everybody. Gary Thorne, Mike Bordy. Great to have you with us. For the Orioles, 1 month to go before the regular season starts. The Orioles will be opening up at home, of course, this season. And a time we thought to take a look at just how players are progressing, those who've been on the list of somewhat injured. Let's start with Chris Tillman, Mike.
Yeah, well, Chris Tillman, I think all three of these guys really kind of set the team back at the start of spring training, getting on the shelf. So, you know, good to see that Chris Tillman was threw off the mound today. I mean, that is definitely a positive sign, and obviously how he responds to throwing off the mound is the biggest thing. But everything is heading in the right direction for Tillman. A lot of excitement right there. He won't miss much time, if any. You know, I think Buck's got it planned out with off days in the month of April. Tillman will slide right back into the five-man rotation.
Buck said this morning Tillman will throw another day of a side session. Then they'll see whether or not he's ready to go against hitters, and then they'll go from there. J.J. Hardy, he has been out of spring training games.
He sure has, and the real good news is he's starting to do functional activities, functional baseball activities. See his whole body getting into it right here. Little Cotton Eye Joe right there for you. But J.J. Hardy hasn't really been doing too much. They just wanted everything to calm down. And over the last few days, he's starting to get a little bit mobile. Word on the street is he took some ground balls today, so that's an encouraging sign, too. And I don't think it'll take J.J. long to get back into game shape.
And the other is Zach Britton, who really is just fine. They just do not want to overuse him here in the spring, so Zach's going to get a little more time off, but he'll be ready to go come opening day and well before that. The Phillies and the Orioles. Great to have you with us. Sun and baseball coming up. Go beyond the stadium and discover the sophisticated ambiance of Lido Key in Sarasota on Florida's Gulf Coast. Learn more at visitsarasota.com. The breezes of spring training, which are always here, are really here for this ball game today. The winds have been blowing in from center, then out towards right field, and kind of shifting around. So we'll see the benefactors at the plate as we get going in this ball game. Take a look at the lineup for the Phillies. Kind of surprising. They've got a split squad day, yet they brought a lot of starters with them. Hernandez, Coghlan, and Franco. Joseph, future star for them. Rupp, Perkins, Crawford, Altier, and Quinn. Cesar Hernandez, interleague play, some very solid numbers.
Take a look at Mike Wright's scouting report here in the spring training. Stand tall. Yeah, Mike's had some problems falling, collapsing on the backside. He's got to stay tall, get over the front side, and the fastball command will come. A little inconsistent with that fastball command. But Mike Wright, he's fighting for a spot again. He'll be in the starting rotation or the bullpen. Take a look at his numbers last season. 18 games, made the 12 starts, a 5.79 earned run average. Shows that there were some inconsistencies there. Boy, sparks of brilliance, and then the wheels would fall off.
Cesar Hernandez leading it off for the Phillies. He will take the pitch away, so he gets a look at a lefty right away as Hernandez playing at second base, where he will be on opening day. As we said, they brought 3 of their starting 4 infielders. Only their shortstop, Freddie Galvis, isn't here. Crawford is playing at short for them, but they've got pretty much an infield intact from what will be on opening day. And talking with some of the Philly people before, they feel this is a real good test against some pretty good Oriole pitching here at home, so they wanted starters here.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus there's some young players on this Phillies team.
Yeah.
I mean, got a young first baseman, and that of Tommy Joseph.
That'll go towards second base. It'll be played there by Paul Janisch. Jonathan Scope has already gone to Korea, where he'll be playing in the World Baseball Classic, so Janisch in at second.
I'll take a look at the rest of the Orioles defense. Kim over in left field, Adam Jones in center, Mark Trumbo in right field. Machado and Janisch will be the double play combination up the middle. Flaherty's arm's feeling good, so he's back at third base. Chris Davis over at first, and Castillo doing the catching this afternoon.
That'll bring Coghlan up to the plate. Chris Coghlan is the DH in this ball game for the Phillies. For the Orioles, outfielders will have a good time chasing balls in this wind today, so anything put up in the air is going to be a pretty good treat for them. With this wind blowing the way it is, BP was knocking down all kinds of balls that would have been out of the ballpark by a mile if they went to left field. Balls going to right sometimes got a little help, so we'll see how that plays out here in the ball game today. Right working to Coghlan. 1 down, 1 strike count. Orioles come in 4-5 this spring. Philadelphia 4 wins and 3 losses so far. Coghlan will take one. It will be up high. But Mike Wright needs to get some good innings in. It's only his second outing. He pitched against Philadelphia on the 28th of February. Gave up a couple of runs on 2 hits, 2 innings in that ball game. So he's seeing the Phillies for the second time this spring. Fooled him on that one.
A nice pitch right there after rushing a power fastball up and in. Takes a little pace off it and gets ahead 1-2 there. Mike Wright really, look at Roger McDowell, Orioles' new pitching coach. Had a chance to talk with him about his philosophy and how he's going to treat these Orioles pitchers, and pretty similar to the pitching coach that the Orioles have had recent years, and Dave Wallace. Matter of just kind of watching, taking an understanding of what the pitcher has, his strengths and weaknesses. He's not going to completely revamp everybody. He wants to work with everybody on the individual needs. And Mike Wright's needs are just having a consistent delivery, finishing out in front, over the top of that front side, and he'll get more sink and obviously the more command they're looking for.
We'll talk with Roger end of the second inning, and the breaking ball will be taken inside. Coghlan appeared last year 99 games for the Phillies, hit only $188. He had 6 home runs, 30 RBIs for him. Coghlan getting a look-see as to how he's going to fit in here. Mackinnon on hand. Pete, the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. Here's the 2-2 delivery on the way, and a check swing and a ground ball again to second base. Paul Janisch picks it up, makes the play. So Janisch gets activity early and a couple down. Great defensive glove. Never any question about Janisch when it comes to what he can do in the field.
Yeah, and he can play every infield position. A late sign for the Orioles, but continue to look for that depth. There's always question marks of injuries, and of course the way Hardy started spring training, on the shelf. You need somebody, a reliable backup. Giannis proved himself at the major league level as far as handling the glove for sure.
And we'll bring Franco to the plate. Maikel Franco, who's playing at third base, is another one of the young players on this team that they are looking to build a really good future, is their hope. Andy McPhail, the former GM of the Orioles, now heading up presidency of the Philadelphia Phillies, and a couple of Orioles front office people who have gone with him over there trying to put a Phillies team back together. They were 71 and 91 last year. They've been at the bottom of the pile for the last couple of seasons, and really feel as though this is a turning year for this Philadelphia team. Ryan Howard is gone. He's the last of the big stars from the years when they had winning years, and now they're going to look to a whole new group, and Franco is one of those. And he got a magnificent comment from Mike Schmidt, the Hall of Fame third baseman, on Franco, their new third baseman. He said this is going to be an MVP player within a couple of years in the Philadelphia press this past week, so he's very high on this Philly at the plate. Wright's delivery taken outside for a ball.
Well, incredible offensive numbers. He's only 24 years old. Pounded out 25 home runs, 88 RBI last year. I was talking to their new hitting coach, Matt Stairs, who had obviously great major league success, and he said key for him, if he wants to be that MVP caliber type player, is not give away at bats.
Yep. Delivery to him will be a hard chop down to third base. Flaherty surrounds it. He's got a lot of time, no speed there, and 3 ground balls. Right, a solid first inning. Take a look at the Orioles lineup for the spring training game when we come back. Know and on the go wherever they are, wherever they may be, whatever they may be attending. Those who know how to look fashionable, always in style, never out of fashion, have on the Orioles shirts. Here's the lineup for the Orioles: Smith, Jones, and Manny Machado, Davis, Trumbo, and Kim, Castillo, Flaherty, and Yarnish. Remark: 47 big ones last year.
Take a look at Nick Pivetta here, his scouting report. He is a young gun, just 24 years old, brought over by way of trade a couple years ago when Papelbon ended up going to the Nationals. Good arm. He's got a sinker. Curveball's his big off-speed pitch, though. It's all about location. Take a look at his AA, AAA numbers last year. Picked up 12 wins, just a .327 earned run average, 27 starts, logging 148 2/3 innings. Some innings under his belt. There's a lot of promise here. I was just talking to Ned Rice about him, and he says he'll be in the big league soon, but he's going to be probably starting this year in the minor leagues, and he's knocking on the big league door for sure.
And the Orioles getting another leadoff spot in for Seth Smith, who's going to see some time in right field this year. We talked about the addition of Smith, who hit so well against right-handers. .272, a career number against right-handers. For Seth, though, the problem has been against the lefties. He's hit only .202 lifetime against left-handers, and in fact last year with Seattle he had only 33 plate appearances against left-handers. So if he's going to be playing out in right field, it's going to have to be a platoon situation, barring some much improved numbers. Check down at third base, call strike 3 on the check swing. Sam Holbrook, the umpire, at third.
Pretty good breaking ball right here. Late break, that's what every pitcher strives for. Trying to get it to work right at the plate, and there, bottom just dropping out, down and in on Seth. Check swing going against him here. Tough to pick up the hard rotation on the slider. Power slider. Dropping down. Fortunately for Seth, get another chance there.
That'll bring up Adam Jones hitting in the number 2 spot. Adam off to a real good start here this spring. Hitting the ball well, 6 out of 14, a couple of home runs and 4 RBIs and 2 doubles to go along with it. So Adam really early here in the spring doing well. He's all ready to go to Miami, where he'll be joining the U.S. national team. It's going to be playing in the World Baseball Classic. He drills that one to dead center, and a fine running catch made. Quinn in center field with his back to home plate, hauled that in, stayed with it, and never lost track of the baseball.
Incredible play right there, especially with this wind. You can't tell. Look at how shallow he's playing. Well, the wind shifted. It's blowing in now, and Adam Jones covers this. Concentration by Quinn. Incredible out there to come up with the second out. Dead run straight over his shoulder. Unbelievable play, taking one away from Adam Jones.
Roman Quinn playing in center field. And as Mike said, he was playing shallow with that wind blowing in the way it is. That ball would have been out of here easily had it not been for the Florida wind that caught that one. Here's Manny Machado. Manny with Adam Jones batting ahead of him. These two are both going to be in the World Baseball Classic. Manny's going to play shortstop for the Dominican, and on Tuesday they'll be playing against one another. I don't know if Adam's going to go tomorrow or Tuesday to Miami, but I do know Manny Machado will be playing for the Dominican here against the Orioles in a Tuesday exhibition game. Well, that ought to be fun. That's where you want a mic in the dugout.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's been funny, though. You haven't really heard a lot of talk, you know, that smack talk back and forth, but I'm sure it'll come, especially if they make it into the second round.
Yeah, exactly, which they should with that team.
Right.
Great off-speed pitch. So, Nevada has a very strong first inning with a couple of strikeouts. Each team down 1-2-3 in the first.
Chesapeake Employees.
As we said, just a month away from opening day. Time to get on board right now with the Orioles full of partial season plan. You get exclusive orange carpet benefits, including huge savings over single game tickets, the postseason ticket priority, MLB's most flexible exchange plan, and a ticket to the hottest in Birdland. That's opening day. Go to Orioles.com/season today. Another big crowd on hand of outstanding attendance numbers again for the Orioles here in Sarasota at their spring training home. Mike Wright delivers. It'll be in there for a strike. And there you see the mostly sun-drenched crowd. A few clouds going by, but very comfortable day. 76 degrees the air temperature. Winds at 19 miles an hour starting the game. That'll go to third. Ryan Flaherty will back up on it. Makes the easy toss over, and Joseph is retired. That's 4 on the ground from right.
Yeah, that's a good sign right there. That means he's getting a little bit of tilt on his two-seam fastball. He's locating it well, keeping it in the bottom of the zone. And when he can get over the top of that front side, like we talked about in the first inning, he's going to get a better sinker. It's not going to flatten out and get hittable. Guys are going to see it well, but they're going to top it. Get the easy ground ball. 4 in a row, as you said.
Here's Cameron Rupp. He'll be the starting catcher for the Phillies if all goes according to Hoyle. Wright's delivery to him will be on the inside corner at the knees. He turned around, took a look at John Bacon, the home plate umpire. Paul Emmel, Bill Welke, Sam Holbrook, the umpiring crew working this ball game. There is John Bacon, who's got the plate. Cameron last year with a 252 number. He got in 389 at bats. He'll be working on his 3rd major league season, and he will be part of that starting lineup for the Phillies. They've already said publicly, Andy McPhail, that the hope is for the Phillies this year that they will be a 500 team. That's our goal. You want to be better than that. You hope to win. You're going for it all, but realistically, if they can break 500, which would be an improvement of 20 games over last year, they would consider that a pretty good season. Foul backing up over the top. You can imagine in Philadelphia, where fans boo Santa, the idea of somebody saying they're going to have a 500 season.
They're not accepting that. No way.
And neither are the players. I mean, they're the kind of team that if the kids all came, the kids, they're not kids, they're 23, 24, 25-year-olds. If they all came together and had themselves good seasons, real good seasons, they could be a team that jumps up on somebody. Strikeout, good breaking ball. That tied him up.
Yeah, nice job here, Mike Wright, getting ahead. And that is a key. If there's one thing I would say that Roger McDowell is going to preach, and that's the ability to get ahead and then go to work with your pitches, mixing them up. Dropped a nasty sinker down and in, and then froze him with the slider there. Mike Wright looking sharp here in the early going.
Yep, doing a good job of getting that ball in the strike zone and getting ahead of hitters. Here's Cameron Perkins, 2 Camerons in a row in the lineup for the Phillies. Perkins getting the start in left field in this ball game. Howie Kendrick will be their opening day left fielder. They've got backup outfielders, if you will, from what their opening day lineup will probably be. Herrera, their young center fielder, will be a starter, and the veteran Michael Saunders, who will come over to join them, will probably be their right fielder.
Yeah, you know, I think what they've done, they have a nice group of young talented players and a couple young guys that have really proven themselves already at the major league level. We talked about Tommy Joseph. You know, he had a taste last year and put up some really good numbers. So offensively, I think the young guys are going to help. But when you bring in some veteran players, they just help stabilize things. Saunders been around a long time in the game. He's had great success. Of course, they brought over Howie Kendrick as well. And you get those good quality veteran players. Everything they do rubs off on the young players, and they just raise the bar for themselves.
Yeah. Looking for leadership from the veterans. Busy day for the infield early on. Flaherty, and the throw off the mark. And reaching is Perkins. That'll be an error charged on Ryan Flaherty on the throw as he disgustedly looks down at the turf.
Yeah, pretty easy chance here for Ryan Flaherty. Now remember, he's just a couple days off the sore arm. Had some tendonitis built up in there, so it took a few days off. So still trying to get the feel. And you see maybe just trying to guide that one over there.
So that'll put the first base runner on for the Phillies. Comes with 2 down here in the second inning. And that will bring Crawford up to the plate. Crawford getting the start at shortstop in the ball game. That's the only position where they do not have one of their regulars starting in this game. Freddie Galvis will be their starting shortstop if, again, all goes as planned. So getting a chance at it here today is Crawford. 2 down, runner on at first base.
And Crawford considered one of their top prospects, if not the top prospect.
Certainly in the top 3. That'll go to short. Play is going to be made over to first by Manning. That'll do it. No runs, no hits, an error, and a base runner left on. Bottom of the second. Coming up, we'll see Chris Davis. J.J. Hardy joining the ball club, even though he's not going to be playing for a bit, probably for another week. But he's working out. He's fine. And so is Roger McDowell. Roger!
Gary, how are you today?
I'm well, Philip. New pitching coach for the Orioles. Great to have you with us. Number one, you get an early look here with the camp opening up as it did. What do you see so far from your side of the game, Roger?
Well, obviously, it's a number of guys that I have to get to know what they like to do, whether it's through bullpens or just through the daily activities, going through PFPs, getting an understanding of what they're all about, and vice versa. Them starting to understand me and start to form a relationship and build trust.
Chris Davis goes up the middle against the shift base hit.
Hey, Roger, you've been a big league pitching coach for quite a while now, and you obviously had a great career and been surrounded by some incredible pitchers, obviously, and pitching coaches. Any of those guys rubbed off on you and helped you maybe build the philosophy you use today?
Well, the one that comes to mind first and foremost is Dave Wallace, who was here for the last few years. He was the one who initially got me into the coaching profession and was very instrumental in a lot of the things that I believe in from a philosophical standpoint come from Dave Wallace. The transitioning and talking to players and how to go about forming a relationship, and I think that's very important that the players understand that you have their interest first and foremost. And over the course of it's coming this way, but it's all right. It's back in the stands.
Good play.
But first and foremost, knowing that what you bring to the table is something that they want to know that you are there for them, and I think it's an individual standpoint. From that standpoint, it's individuality. Obviously, the pitching coaches I had as a player were huge. Starting with Mel Stottlemyre and all the way to Dauber here when I was here in '96 as a player. And so you take a little bit from each one and try to learn from each one what has worked. Obviously, as I said with Wally, I mean he has been a very successful man throughout whatever position he has held, and it's someone that you try and follow in the footsteps and be a good student of.
What is the one thing you would want the players to know first about you as their pitching coach?
Well, the good thing is nowadays with the YouTube and the Twitter and the social media, not to believe all the things that happen on the field when I played. What I do, I take very seriously, and I did that as a player, and I think I hopefully convey that as a coach, that what I do is very serious. I take this game very seriously. I respect the game, and I expect our pitchers to respect the game as well and be as professional as can be, and do things the right way. And grind through the season, get to know your players, get to know me as a coach, and hopefully we form a great relationship and have a very successful season.
Now you have there's a new bullpen coach as well, Alan Mills, and you and Alan were teammates back in '96 with the O's.
Yeah, we were teammates. For that year in '96, we went to the playoffs. I was out, I think, in August. I had shoulder problems. I didn't pitch the rest of the year, but Alan was a young pitcher that came up. I think he'd been in a couple of organizations. Maybe it was just the Yankees, but he had some up and down time, and he fit in very, very well. The one thing that you remember about Alan is, how competitive he was between the lines, and that's one of the things that hopefully it rubs off on everybody, is that when we get between the lines, it's all business, and we can have our fun when the time permits, but we're going to go out and we're going to take care of what we can control, and hopefully it'll be successful.
Young Soo Kim goes down to first base. Joseph with a great backhand. There's one. Crawford the relay. Woo, not in time. Outstanding play at first base and by the shortstop to get the out at second. Kim on the fielder's choice.
Yeah, really nice play here. Take a look at Joseph, the young first baseman, coming off, creating the lane as he steps up. Still a little wide, but how about the relaxation out there by the shortstop? Just like a walk in the park, no panic at all. Good throw. Real close play at first base. Toughest turn in all of baseball when you have to give that feed to the pitcher.
Yeah.
Coming off the mound over to first base. Pretty close play there.
Roger, a final question. Obviously, since you pitched, the game has changed pitching-wise, I think, and I'll ask you this, from what starters are expected to do and what they do and the role of the bullpens. Can you just talk about how you view that in today's game?
Well, obviously the specialization, especially out of the bullpen. You know, you're talking years ago, it was you had multiple inning guys. You saw that a little bit in the playoffs last year, especially, and into the World Series, having your back end guys go multiple innings, where that used to be somewhat of a norm. It's kind of become a specialization from the standpoint of having one inning guys, and it's obviously changed the game, and to stay up with it and understand those changes and go forward.
Roger, we wish you all the best. Great to have you with us here at the Orioles, and thanks for joining us, and have a great season.
All right, thanks, Gary. Thanks, Bordy.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you.
Roger McDowell, who joins the Orioles here as the pitching coach. And what he was referring to early on, he said, don't believe all the stuff that's online the internet. Roger, when he was a player, he was an outstanding relief pitcher. But he also was the guy who crawled under the bench and lit the hot foot on the back of teammates, and he was a practical joker supreme. But his point is, don't ever confuse that with how I played the game and how I feel about playing the game.
Yeah, he was a bulldog out there. And, it's funny what you were talking about the playoffs with him and how the bullpen was used. Well, he used to do that.
Yes.
He pitched multiple innings out of the bullpen for the Mets before things started becoming specialized.
Yep. That one's going to skip away, and that will put Kim down at second base on a wild pitch. And Veda just burying that one. That Davis single, Trumbo has popped out. Kim reached on the fielder's choice, and now a runner at second base, and a 3-ball, 2-strike count on Ryan Flaherty. As Mike said, Flaherty had been out, so Flaherty trying to get some time back, and Castillo at the plate, rather. Flaherty on that throw that was the error with some maybe still trying to get into game shape with that arm. Wellington Castillo will take the pitch for a strike at the outside corner. He didn't think so, obviously. That's the third strikeout put up by the Philly right-hander. Orioles leave a runner at second base. No score. Well, you can enjoy Birdland's best value again this year. It's the best in family entertainment for the kids. 14 and under, Junior Orioles Dugout Club, the official kids club of the O's. Still just $25. And it comes with your choice of 2 6-game ticket packages, exclusives like the club hat, socks, backpack, and more. And friends and family can get tickets to Dugout Club games starting as low as $6. Find out more at Orioles.com/Dugout Club, or call the Orioles 888-848-BIRD. Gary Thorne, Mike Bordick, great to have you with us, as the summer weather in Baltimore apparently has gone back to winter in the great Northeast. Pitch is taken up and in. Hit him. He didn't think it did, but John Bacon, the home plate umpire, thought it did. So that'll put the leadoff man on here in the third inning. Now Tier goes down, making the start in right field for this ball club. And the Phillies get their second base runner, one on an error and one on a hit batter.
Well, one thing that Mike Wright has to do, keep the composure out there. Okay, that pitch gets away, and pounding the bottom of the strike zone with that sinker. Good opportunity here for a double play.
Quinn up, way in. Flaherty at third base. And indeed he bunted. Came right off the plate and goes over the head of Wellington Castillo for a foul ball. So Quinn trying to lay one down, get that runner down to second base, and maybe pick up a base hit himself, although where Flaherty was playing, it was going to be hard to get a base hit out of that.
Yeah, Flaherty taking the bunt away well onto the grass over at third base. Buck Showalter implementing the bunt defense here with some speed. And Quinn
played double-A ball and 15 games with the Phillies last year. He's got some speed. He's playing in center field and will take the pitch for a strike. He hit .287 at double-A ball. Had a real fine season, 25 RBIs. He had 31 stolen bases. Tells you a little bit about speed that he has, and about a 2-to-1 ratio in strikeouts to walk, 68-30 strikeout to walk ratio. Flaherty will back up with a 2-strike count right. Working from that first base side of the rubber in the long hold and lashed foul.
That's a good pitch right there. Nice job getting ahead, and then you work the perimeter. That fastball from Mike Wright taking off well off the plate. Piece of hit by Quinn just to keep the at bat alive, but you open the plate up, you find the holes. Power slider be effective here, or still 0-2. You can just continue to work the perimeter with the fastball.
Left-handers gave Wright the problem last year. They hit .345 against him. Right-handers .238. Big difference. 0-2 delivery on the way, and this lefty's going to swing through it. Great pitch. He had no chance picking that one up.
That might have been a change right there from Mike Wright. That's a pitch that he's definitely had to work on secondary offerings. And look at the location, just tailing down and away. Beautiful pitch from Mike Wright. A nice job settling in after hitting the batter to start this inning. Big strikeout there.
Bring up Cesar Hernandez. Hernandez grounded out his first time up. Hernandez, their starting second baseman out of Venezuela. Ground ball towards the middle, right over the bag, off the bag into center field. Big turn. Ather will go over to third base. He never stopped as he had that ball right in front of him. So the literal base hit for Cesar Hernandez. First and third.
Oh man, he looked like he had a bead on this one. Good speed going down the line. Don't know if they would have been able to get two, but some hitter's luck here. And that third hop hitting the base, getting away from Manny Machado. And good base running. Head up, eye on the ball all the time, easily in the third base. Oh, Adam Jones was on top of that ball very quickly.
So the Phillies got a chance to get on the board. Each team now with a hit. The hit batter that started the inning has given the Phillies a chance to score. Here is Coughlin, their DH. He grounded out his first time up. Everything continues to be on the ground for Wright. Another a real positive sign, even if you do get a couple hit off the base. Not much you can do about that if you're Mike Wright. Pitch on the way, the off-speed delivery, a little breaking ball that is going to miss inside.
Yeah, and those are the type of things that I think last year and even the year before you get concerned about that. What gets in Mike Wright's head when things don't go his way? That's a fluke, the ground ball hitting second base. Don't let it affect you. Keep pounding the strike zone with that sinker, bottom of the zone. Good things will happen.
Throw over to first. As Davis will play it. Calls again for the pitchers will come to the catcher, Castillo, and whether or not to step off, do an extra long hold, throw over to first base. Pitcher always has an option to do otherwise depending on how they feel, but those calls, not the pitch calls, come from the dugout. 1-0 delivery on the way, and that one's going to go into left field for a base hit. Coughlin the other way will pick up the RBI. Kim will get it in. And the Phillies have a 1-0 lead. Hernandez stops at second base.
Oh, nice piece of hitting right there. Not trying to do too much at times. Runner on first base. The lefties try to hook it through that hole with the base runner on. But here, just staying on the two-seam fastballs, it rides away. Look at the head position, backing up the heater, slapping it through that 5-6 hole, and get the Phillies on the board.
Altair scores after being hit by a pitch, so that one pays off. Now first and second, still only one down. Phillies with a couple of hits in the ball game. Here is Franco. Franco grounded out his first time up. Infield squeezes the middle a little bit with Yanish close to the bag at second, and the pitch will be in there for a strike. For Franco so far this spring, only 13 at bats. He's had 5 hits, but 3 of them have been home runs. So he's had 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, and 13 at bats.
There you go.
He'd like to carry that over into the season.
Heck yeah.
Yanish creeping in at second base, right. A look and a delivery, and that'll be bounded foul.
Well, that is a real good pitch. Almost looks like Mike Wright trying a little less today, and I think that's a good thing for Mike Wright. He gets a good sink. When he overthrows, the ball stays on the same plane, and that's when he gets hit. Right now, just getting over the front side, not forcing the issue, getting the great movement, and a lot of ground balls off the bats.
74 innings, 81 hits last year for Mike Wright at the major league level with the Orioles. 18 appearances, 12 as a starter. That one is right there at the knees. I mean, he's confounding hitters. That pitch is not necessarily a real good strikeout pitch, except it was set up.
Yeah.
So the guy wasn't expecting anything, and Franco just didn't know what was coming.
Absolutely looking for something else. He's shown his off-speed pitches, and he's done a good job of getting ahead, and they're just freezing him right across the top of the knees for strike 3. Beautiful pitch. Castillo, veteran backstop, acknowledging him with the glove.
So that's 3 strikeouts. Wright has picked up. Wright getting in, looking to get in his 3 innings here, and this is second spring start, and doing it so far effectively. Here's Joseph, who grounded out his first time up. The heir apparent at first base for Ryan Howard, no longer with the Phillies. So he's going to be their starting first baseman, and they are, as we said, very excited about Tommy Joseph out of Phoenix, Arizona, AAA, and the major leagues last year. 95 games of AAA ball, but 315 games he got in with the Phillies. So he's ready to go, and he'll be out there regularly at first base.
Yeah, good power. You're expecting a lot from him. 21 home runs last season, 25 years old. Nice group of young players.
Yep. 1-0 count with 2 down. Wright trying to work his way out of this one. The long look towards second base that time. That'll go to third. Big hop. Flaherty had to be ready for that one. He was, and will record the out. Phillies get on the board. It'll be a run on a couple of hits and a hit batter. They take a 1-0 lead. You can create some new Birdland memories by hosting your next group outing this summer at the ballpark. Discounted ticket prices for groups, small as 15, party facilities for up to 1,000. Great outing for your friends, family, workplace, you name it. It's a great place for a group to get together at the ballpark at Camden Yards. And there are incentives, including the opportunity to throw out ceremonial first pitch. Get info at Orioles.com/groups. Bottom half of the third inning here in Sarasota. Phillies and Orioles, second of 4 times they're going to play this spring. Phillies won the first tilt 7-5. We'll get to match up a couple more times after this. Ryan Flaherty getting his first at bat. It'll be Flaherty, Yanish, and then Seth Smith at the top of the order for the Phillies.
Quite a play by Ryan Flaherty to end that last inning.
That one to center field. Wind blowing it back and towards right. Boy, that ball just dove on him the other way, and a good play by Quinn again.
Well, as challenging fly ball as you're ever going to see with this wind down here.
It has just been ripping all day, all morning, and continuing here in the afternoon. Flaherty retired his Paul Yanish. The Orioles very happy that he was available when Hardy was not going to be able to play, and Manny Machado was going to go to the WBC. The infield, left side of the infield, all of a sudden began to look a little bare. And just in case, you've got one of the best defensemen in the game. Sincerely, not just minor league. This is a major league defender. As Oriole fans have seen Paul Yanish deliver. The question has always been about the ability to hit and stay in a lineup, but there's never been a question about defense.
No. He is an exceptional glove man. Really knows the game. Buck Showalter trusts him in any position on the infield, and just very valuable.
That one down the line, that's going to fall in, and will get by and go all the way to the wall. Perkins will give chase. Yanish will go to second base, and in his 6th at bat this spring, he will pick up a double.
Well, anything he does offensively is just gravy. Certainly here for his glove. Back up to J.J. Hardy, but this is an A swing for sure. Short to the ball, stays through it, just drops the head on the inside fastball. Drives it past the left fielder Perkins. Beautiful swing from Yanish. Sometimes just the one help build that confidence. And Yanish looking for a strong spring.
So here's the leadoff batter, Seth Smith, in the DH role. Strikeout victim his first time up. Orioles have their second hit of the ball game, each team with 2. And the off-speed breaking ball is in there for a strike. Seth an 0 for 8 so far in the spring training for the Orioles in what is a somewhat crowded outfield as far as who's going to get the opportunities and when. That one tailing away. Nevada put that one up and away and got him to chase it 0-2.
Yeah, a little life with that fastball as it rides through the top of the strike zone up and out. Who knows? Maybe it was wind aided. How about that? Flag is stiff out in center field.
0-2 count, runner off second base. And that one is going to be fouled down the line. Talking about the Orioles outfield, you've got Adam Jones is going to play center. Kim is going to play a good deal of left field, but both Kim and Smith have real problems against the left-handers. So what are you going to do with that? Trumbo's the primary DH, but probably is going to get some time in right field.
Oh, what did Trumbo hit against lefties last year?
Yeah.
About 173.
Yeah,
so
that's got to come up.
Well, that's an issue that they've been addressing here in spring training. But the plan, I think, would be to have obviously Seth Smith and Trumbo platoon out in right field. But there's some competition going on here with Gentry in camp now, and
Joey Rickards here.
Joey Rickard, of course. Yeah. There's some really good young infielders.
Yeah, so there's going to be a look-see and not really settled on how that will play out. That ball down to first base will be short hop to the attempt. It'll go by the glove. Pitcher gets over to cover. There's no throw made, and everybody's on. So Joseph could not handle that. You could see that slow hit ball was going to cause some problems as soon as it started bouncing. The Orioles get runners at first and third.
You wonder how young players are going to handle things defensively, and he makes the right move to try to get the ball, but doesn't really use his legs to step to the baseball. Nice high chopper. He actually backs away from it instead of driving his glove to the baseball. The ball eludes him there, kicks out in the outfield. Job by second baseman to be backing that up, and a nice hold by Bobby Dickerson. Those are the little things that go unnoticed. Ball gets away. Got to hold that base runner up.
Yeah. Giannis goes over to third base. Error charged on Joseph at first. First and third, one down. And the breaking ball taken outside by Adam Jones. Adam flied out to center field on a hard hit ball. His first time up. So the Orioles trailing 1-0. Get a chance to tie it up or better here in the bottom half of the third inning. 1-0 again outside. Vevedo overthrowing a little bit here in the third. So we've seen him come across the body and end up away. 24-year-old who comes from BC, Victoria, British Columbia. Mike said he came in the Papelbon deal, Lehigh Valley, for a lot of last season. That one on the big cut will be foul back. Adam is swinging healthy here this spring. He's taking the big Adam Jones cuts.
Oh my. Adam Jones came into camp and opened everybody's eyes. He's lighter. He's moving around like a young Adam Jones. He's covering all kinds of grass in the outfield. His swing is right on time right now. He's covering every baseball. It's nice and quiet in the box.
2-1 delivery to him. Didn't want to. And that one will roll back into the Orioles dugout. So the count goes to 2-2. This will probably be the last inning for the Philadelphia starter. Orioles will make their change as well, as the pitchers are now up to starters are up to about 3 innings. It's what the managers are trying to get out of them here this part of spring training.
Yeah, you have that slow build up. Still about a month to go in spring training, and you know, the young pitchers, and you kind of tell when they get to that spot, you know, the mechanics start to falter. They lose their command a little bit, and you have to train your body all over again.
Adam got a little breaking ball that he wanted to tag. Goes to right. Altair is there. Giannis will tag. Here's the throw. Good one. Giannis stays. A perfect throw to the plate. Altair, who's starting in right field, is probably their backup outfielder. He can play all 3 outfield positions, and you can see with that throw, he is not a detriment on defense.
Yeah, right on the money right there. Both Altair and Quinn kind of looked at as the extra outfielders for this Phillies team.
There's a big out on the shallow fly ball. 2 down, and that will bring up Manny Machado. Manny, a strikeout victim, his first time to the plate. Manny has picked up 3 hits, 16 at bats, a home run, and that's his RBI so far this spring. 2 away. Breaking ball, got a round on it to left, but he was out in front on the swing. Perkins will haul it in, and that will do it. No runs, a hit, an error. Orioles leave 2. We've completed 3.
Out of the ball game, but wow, was he impressive. Had a good pitch with the slider. Fastball was dominant. How about the bottom dropping out of that one? Freezing Franco right there. A lot of ground balls in this 3-inning outing for Mike Wright. Only scattering the 2 hits, gave up 1 run. It's an earned run, of course, but no walks, pounding the strike zone, 3 punch outs. All thumbs up for Mike Wright today. Beautiful outing right there. Certainly will help his confidence the next time around. Keno now into the ball game. The lefty that has opened up some eyes as well. Take a look at his numbers in the minor leagues last year. 3.72 earned run average, but made it up to the big leagues as well. And so covering AA, AAA, and pitching for Buck Showalter, and he has got Buck Showalter's attention right now in spring training. Dominant pitcher, got some off-speed pitches, keep hitters off balance. Good sinker to get the ground ball as well.
Only 24 years old, out of the Dominican Republic, actually out of the home of the shortstops historically. That'll go to short. It'll be played there by Manny Machado. 1 pitch, 1 out as Rupp is retired. For the Orioles, the starting rotation as projected looks like this.
It sure does. Well, Tillman has been the ace. This might be the first year he misses the opening day start out of 3. Kevin Gausman, who finished so strong last year. Impressive numbers there, finishing with that 3.61 earned run average. Bundy healthy and ready to go. A lot of excitement there. Miley's going to have a good bounce back year, and Ubaldo, it's a matter of putting everything together. And hopefully has a solid first half and second half. Last year, he was as good down the stretch as any one of the Orioles pitchers. And it's a matter of them staying healthy, eating up the innings.
Perkins at the plate. He reached on an error his first time up. But Showalter was talking this morning about Ubaldo. And he said the one thing that's I've been most impressed with that people may not realize, this is the first time Ubaldo Jimenez early in spring training has been able to get in been able to pitch the number of innings they want him to pitch in spring training, 2 or 3, and get in the number of pitches they want him to pitch. In past years, he's always overthrown in innings and had come out before he completed 2 or before he completed 3, and they'd have to take him to the bullpen or a backfield to throw some more. Not this year. This year he's been efficient. He's done exactly what they want him to do with innings pitched and pitches thrown. And Buck says that's a great sign because it means he's controlling the game on the mound.
Absolutely. You know, I just think he hasn't really gotten ahead of himself. And I think a lot of pitchers, they feel like they have their fastball command and then they start getting into their secondary pitches. Well, he made sure that he had good fastball command. Now he's starting to incorporate his off-speed pitches in games, throwing them a little bit more, getting a better feel for it. But everything feeds off the fastball command for Ubaldo. If he can throw strikes with that heater, he will have success.
And he has done that this spring. There's a great turnover pitch. Perkins goes down swinging, and Aquino gets a strikeout.
Well, great change of speeds here. Good change up 80 miles an hour. You see the circle change grip, full arm speed coming out of the hand, looking like the heater. And there you go, out in front and dive bombing down and away. Strike 3, nice pitch to get Perkins.
Jason Aquino, first 2 outs here. This is the 3rd outing for Aquino. He worked against Detroit. 1 hit, 2 innings. Works against these Phillies back in February. And in that game, he had 2 perfect innings. Didn't give up anything. And had 4 strikeouts. He's had 6 strikeouts in 4 innings coming into this game this spring. And he's already added another one here in the 4th inning. Crawford at the plate. Crawford, the shortstop, grounded out his first time up. And will take the pitch a little bit inside. Misses for a 2-ball 1-strike count. Most of the games last year came at Bowie. Aquino had 20 games. Had a 5-10 mark there as a starter. 19 out of the 20 he appeared in Bowie was as a starting pitcher.
Yeah, well, he's only 24 years old. And I think they put him in Bowie because they were just a little tentative, apprehensive, because he'd been with so many teams over the last few seasons. You know, since 2015, I think he's been with 5 or 6 teams.
That's going to be a base hit down the line. Crawford will make the big turn. Going into second base, Trumbo will get the throw in. It's a stand-up double and a hard-hit ground ball.
Good swing right there, hooking it down the line. But Aquino, so he had the year in AA, got promoted to AAA. Take a look at the pitch here that gets hit down the line. Just missed with a pitch prior. Here all over the fastball, getting the head out in front, just by Chris Davis.
No chance on that one.
No.
So hit number 3 puts a runner at second base, with the Phillies leading it 1-0. Altair, the right fielder, will take the strike on the inside corner. He was hit by a pitch and scored in the third inning on Coughlin's base hit RBI. Offense is what the Phillies lacked last year. They were a minus 186 in runs last year. And that is a very big number. So that has got to get better. No matter how good the Philly pitching is, if you are that far behind in offense, you're in real trouble. So they're looking for these younger players to provide some runs for them this year.
Yeah, they sure are. A big boost out of those bats on the corners, Franco and Joseph.
0-2 count with 2 down. Stayed outside to him. Aquino. A lot of off-speed pitches here. We've seen the off-speed breaking ball, changeup.
Well, he has an incredible array of velocity here. 75-mile-an-hour slow curveball. His changeup's about 80 miles an hour, 90-mile-an-hour fastball. So better be ready. I mean, he keeps hitters off balance.
Altair waiting on the 1-2 delivery, and that one will be fouled back. Again, coming in mid-80s on that pitch. And the count's a ball and 2 strikes. Runner at second, 2 down.
I think the fact that he's left-handed obviously is huge for Buck Showalter in this bullpen, but his versatility. I mean, the ability to spot start, looking for length out of the Orioles bullpen as well.
1-2 delivery, runner off second base, another off-speed delivery, way out in front of that. Flaherty make the throw over to first base, record the out. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on. Chris Davis to the plate coming up. Season modifications announced by Major League Baseball. The intentional walk, now it's official. The manager will hold up 4 fingers to the home plate umpire. That's the intentional walk. 30-second limit for managers to decide whether to challenge a play. Trying to cut down on the amount of time they spend waiting for the video people to tell them do we challenge or not. We'll talk about that. Crew chief invoking the replay now in the 8th inning instead of the 7th on a question of whether or not it was a home run or not. The 2-minute guideline for officials in New York. The umpires who are looking at the videos are going to be given 2 minutes, but there's going to be a lot of grace period given there. This one's interesting. A prohibition of markers on the field that creates a reference system for fielders. Mike will talk about that in a minute. And the pitcher can't take a second step towards home plate or reset the pivot foot during his delivery. Umpires were concerned about that. They thought that was happening more and more. Chris Davis up. Mike, how about you can't leave anything on the field marking your position? What's that all about?
Yeah, well, let me talk about Asher here real quick, and then I'll talk about that. The 5 starts last year for the Phillies actually looked pretty good. He came up with a couple different pitches, Asher did. 2-seam fastballs to get more sink. And then he came up at the end of the year with a little cutter. So they're expecting big things out of Alec Asher for sure. Only hit just 216 off him last year. Really controlling the righties with that sinker.
He went all the way from rookie ball to the Phillies last year. And there's one of the reasons why. A 1-ball, 2-strike count. Chris Davis had a base hit his first time up.
Yeah, the ability for everything to look the same out of his hand, and one goes one way and the other goes the other, and he's really bought into it and having some real good success.
That'll go down to first base on the big hop. Joseph will play it.
So the prohibition to use any of the markers on the field, there are so many shifts now that coaches, just to make sure the players are in the right spot, have put things out on the field. For instance, golf tees. They've maybe pulled some grass out to make a mark on the field.
Yep.
Well, the league says no more. You can't do that anymore. So if you see anything on the field, manager could throw his hands up and say, somebody put this out here, see what happens when they argue that point. But it's interesting that they'd have to put things down for major league players.
They were getting concerned, the league was, that some of these things are going to start interfering with balls hit or players running.
Sure.
Because stuff was piling up out there where you're going to have markers all over the place. I want J on it for Jones, a D for Davis. And put them all over the place. So you can't do that. That's one of the modifications. Ball put up in the air by Mark Trumbo. It popped out his first time up, and this time it's in the seats. Now, the other one I think is going to be interesting. We talked about one of the changes is there's going to be a 30-second limit for managers in deciding whether or not to challenge a play. We've seen it, Buck standing on the top step, looking at the umpire, looking down to his video people. Tell me yes or no, we challenge or not. They want to try and keep that at 30 seconds in order to speed up the game. But I've already heard from some people in the game that one of the ways you may get around that, we may see arguments come back. Managers going to the umpire on plays and arguing the play, not whether or not they're going to replay it, just arguing the play while the video people are looking in order to extend the time. And will that happen? Because they're going to put the time up on the clock out on the field, so everybody's going to see what it is. But there is a question of what happens with that. That ball deep, way, way back there, takes a hop off the wall. Trumbo really got into that one. And Mark Trumbo's got himself a 2-bagger with one away here in the 4th inning.
Yeah, Quinn couldn't catch up with this one. That one would have been a Trumbo jumbo for sure, if not for the wind blowing in about 60 miles an hour. Trumbo, take a look at this swing. Run leader last year in the American League, and up and away fastball, and stays on top and one hops the scoreboard out in right center. Strong like bull, beating Quinn as Quinn was playing shallow again with the wind picking up. Wow, that ball was covered.
So Trumbo's on with the 400-foot 2-bagger. The Orioles have their 3rd hit, each team with 3. 1-3-1 for the Phillies, 0-3-1 for the Orioles. Kim up, reached on a fielder's choice. His first time up. So Young-Soo Kim gets an opportunity for an RBI. The other one, Mike, I didn't even ask you off air. I don't know how you felt about it. The intentional walk with 4 fingers.
Yeah, I think you had to force a pitcher to do that. I think.
Yep.
I think it's part of the game, man. Games get won and lost on those. Yep. The Orioles won 89 games last year. Imagine if they had 1 or 2 more wins. I mean, it makes a difference. It really does. And those are fine parts of the game that if you can't do that, and managers know pitchers that can and can't, Yeah. So, I mean, there's strategy involved with that. There really is.
Won't be much anymore.
No, it's gone.
That ground ball will go to second. Hernandez has got it. He'll record the out. Trumbo will move over to third base, and there are 2 down. Most of the players seem to somewhat ambivalent, but those who spoke up said, why change that? And the idea that it's going to save time in a ball game is really kind of farcical. I mean, whether you throw the 4 or hold up the 4 fingers, there's not going to be much difference.
Not a big difference, because the guy's still got to take off all his armor in the batter's box, and then he's got to hand it to the bat boy. And
somebody said it's more about perception than reality. The effort to save time. But anyway, that's the way it's going to be. That ball way out in front of it. Wind blowing it in. Falls in, base hit. Perkins stuck that one in the head, I think. That ball bounced up on him as he made an awkward dive on the Castillo fly ball. That'll be a wind blown in double.
My goodness. What an effort here, though. A little crash and burn, and turns sideways and catches it right off the side of the coconut. Realizes he can't get it. Trying to turn away off the ear. Man.
Wow.
That's got to sting a little bit.
Perkins. A little rub to the ear and then back out to his position. Runner at second base again for the Orioles as they've tied it up. Trumbo scoring. RBI for Castillo. And a break for the O's with a wind. Down to first base. That'll be a foul ball off the bat of Ryan Flaherty. Castillo picking up the RBI to tie it up after the 1-out double by Trumbo.
Well, this wind is definitely the toughest element to play baseball in. It dries out infielders' hands. It dries out the pitcher's hands, so you don't have control of the baseball as well. Everybody on the field has to be aware of where the ball is when it goes up in the air. Like that ball right there, I mean, you would think there'd be a closer infielder to it than the outfield, just because of the way the wind's blowing.
Yeah. Pitch will be taken down low for a ball. 2 down. Flaherty blind out to center field his first time up. Orioles, Mike Wright pitched 3 innings, a run on a couple of hits, and 2 strikeouts. Delivery swung on and missed over the top turnover pitch. Boveda for the Phillies, the right-hander. No runs, 2 hits over 3. He had 3 strikeouts and did not walk anybody. You'll see the normal 4 or 5 pitches in this spring training ball game today for both ball clubs. Flaherty waiting on a 1-2 delivery to him. Tantalizing, but outside. And a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Trying to get the go-ahead run in. Castillo from second base. Ryan Flaherty will be called on to do a lot of work here this spring. With J.J. Hardy not getting in the lineup for till another week probably, and with Manny Machado gone to play in the World Baseball Classic, so Ryan's going to get, and Jonathan Scope gone. That one towards first base will be played by Tommy Joseph to the bag. The Orioles pick up a run on 2 hits, no errors. They leave 1. They've tied this up 1 apiece. Well, let's take a look at the interleague schedule for the Orioles. Changes, of course, every year except for the games against the Nationals. Playing the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati, the Great American Ballpark. That'll come early in April. Then against the Nationals in May for 2. And then 2. It's a 2-2 setup at home and in Washington. St. Louis Cardinals on the schedule at home. They'll be in Milwaukee. The Cubs come to Baltimore. And Pittsburgh, it'll be a 2-2 series against the Pittsburgh Pirates as well. So that's the interleague lineup this season, kind of scattered through the whole year.
Yeah, it is. And it's just kind of interesting to me. I know that we've accepted the interleague, but in September, it gets a little tricky when you have to do the interleague rules and, you know, you're trying to make it to the postseason.
That's a fly ball out in the left field. Kim was there to put it away. So Quinn is retired. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Top of the order, Hernandez coming up. Yeah, because of the interleague schedule, there's an interleague game every day. starting on opening day. Somebody plays interleague baseball. So it does get tough. Because if you're in a race in a division, you'd sooner be head-to-head playing the teams you're trying to catch or that are trying to catch you in the so-called 2-for-1 games than to be watching the scoreboard while you're playing in the other league.
Right.
But that's the way it is with the schedule. I'm not sure that interleague play really means that much to fans anymore, to tell you the truth.
I don't either.
I don't think they'd miss it if it went away or complain about it if it's still here. It's kind of an ambivalent part of baseball right now. I always thought it was kind of nice when it used to be the only time you saw the other league was when you got to the World Series.
Yeah.
That was always neat. That ball will be a high hopper to short. Long throw for Manny, and got him. And I mean a long throw. Manny Machado from shallow left field on Cesar Hernandez.
Well, Manny's been taking ground balls at short every day. Ryan Flaherty with a nice effort trying to cut it off. Tips off the glove, and there's Manny standing on the outfield grass. And that cannon that we have come to love from Manny Machado. Didn't see a lot of it at shortstop last year, but this spring, well, he's looked good at that position. Moving around very well, of course, preparing for the World Baseball Classic. Maybe the shortstop. Maybe the shortstop on the Dominican team. They get a lot of good shortstops, don't they?
They certainly do. They've got a really good team. Breaking ball. Aquino on the mound, working his second inning for the Orioles. And you can't help but notice the breaking balls, the off-speed pitches, the turnover pitches. I mean, to go with that fastball Mike was talking about, it really, that one caught him in the elbow. Fortunately, he's got the armor on, and you could hear the clunk when it hit the arm.
Yeah, he's got the arm guard on, and the breaking ball kind of getting away. And the way he shook his head, I think he may have gotten hit there just recently. Because a lot of times on a breaking ball, he said, all right, well, thanks a lot. I'll get on base. But he might have a big bruise on that elbow. Well, maybe the last game.
Certainly didn't sound very good, I'll tell you that. That'll bring Franco up. Second hit batter in the ball game for the Phillies. Franco has struck out, called out last time up, and he grounded out. And the pitch will be a strike. Aquino trying to work through 2 innings of work here to get in his innings for the day. Outfield will shade Franco to pull. Big hole between first and second base. Paul Yanish is almost behind second in this defensive alignment for the Orioles. Here's the move over.
We'll definitely have to show that. Aquino out there and try to impress Buck Showalter. Has to show and prove that he can handle every situation.
0-1 the count. Pretty good lead. Runner not going. Pitch way up and away as he rotated 360 on the follow through that time, which he really didn't want to do. And a 1-ball 1-strike count on Franco. Middle of the order here for the Phillies. This is where there'll be some damage done this year by this Philadelphia offense. So Aquino tested right here with the 2 down, trying to stop the inning after the hit batter. Coughlin off first base. 1-1 delivery on the way. The off speed went down and got it to left field. Kim back. Wynn pulls it over, and he will haul it in for the out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left on base. Ball game tied, 1 apiece. place to be. Voted number 1 again, Siesta Beach. And not a bad place to be at the ballpark. Voted one of the best in all of the minor leagues here at Ed Smith Stadium, the home of the Orioles for the spring. Gary Thorne, Mike Bordick with you. Ball game tied at 1-1. We'll start seeing some of the changes now. We'll catch up with them as we roll along. Pitch is taken down low for a ball. Asher remains on the mound, second pitcher for the Phillies. And Paul Janisch back at the plate. Janisch picked up a double his first time up. And a little off-speed breaking ball will catch the inside corner for a strike. We were talking about Asher. Played with the Gulf Coast Phillies for 3, Double-A ball for 5, Lehigh Valley for 4, and Philadelphia for 5. He's from Lakeland, Florida, their pitcher. That'll go to short. Featherston's playing it short now, makes the play. Or maybe he's not playing it short. Whoever's playing it short just made the play. Featherstone has come in to play at third base, so that was Crawford, who is still at short. And Valentin has come on to play for Hernandez at second base. Pardon me while I write all this down. Leadoff man retired. That'll bring up Seth Smith. He reached on an error, struck out, and Smith will take the pitch away for a ball. As the DH today, he's looking to get into the hit column for the Orioles against Asher. Fastball away. Rupp, the catcher, with a little head motion back to his pitcher. Watch my mitt.
Yeah.
Not getting it where he wanted. And the pitch taken inside. That'll be off the corner. So a 3-0 count. Smith, one of the reasons the Orioles liked him is that on-base percentage. He should help in that regard. The Orioles finished 10th in the league in on-base percentage last year. Fouls that one off. Seth Smith has had a history of a real good knowledge of that strike zone and a willingness to take the walk when it's given. And the Orioles will take that.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's a professional hitter. Definitely knows what to do against the righties. Once he gets this swing ironed out, we're going to see the Seth Smith that the Orioles have seen, because he has done some damage against the Orioles in the past.
He will get a walk right there. So with one away, he's on at first base. The Orioles pick up their first walk of the season, of the game, rather. Single game tickets now on sale. Your chance to lock in great seats, top games, rivalries, special events at the ballpark. Find out all about it at Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. Single game tickets now for sale. Here is Adam Jones. Adam has flied out twice to center and to right field. Runner on to first base and one down. And he'll go after one and foul it away. Kind of hurt the hand on that one. Maybe some bees buzzing.
Yeah, just off the end of the bat a little bit. He's been having some fun out here, I'll tell you. It's good to see. Been the face of this franchise for a number of years now. Team captain.
Ian Michael Givens will be playing for USA. Off-speed breaking ball, and that one is swung on and missed. They head to Miami this week. Wellington Castillo, the Orioles catcher, will be the catcher for the Dominican Republic. Manny will be at short for them. Vidal Nuno is going to play for Mexico. Jonathan Scope is already in Korea, South Korea, to play for the Netherlands. A part of the Netherlands is Curacao. He got that one. And look at the wind haul that in. He had to come back in to get it. That's just another one. The Orioles have had two that would clearly have been out, but for the wind blowing in at about 19 or 20 miles an hour. Trumbo had one. He hit as a double that would have been gone, and Jones had one right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And tough to tell a hitter to feel good about the swing when it should have been on the other side of the concession stand in left center or left field. And that ball brought the left fielder in with the wind pushing it back. There you go.
Cursing the wind.
Yes.
Two down. Runner remains at first. Smith. Manny Machado. He has struck out and flied out. And the pitch will be taken down low for a ball. Orioles continuing the spring training games coming up tomorrow. Tigers. Dylan Bundy's going to make another start. Michael Fulmer scheduled to go for the Tigers. Check swing. Fielded. And a little underhand toss made by Asher to get the out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and one left on base. 1-1. Recognize Birdland community heroes. One here today at the ballpark. That is Jack Gurney. He's a detective, SWAT team member of the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, U.S. Army veteran. He served 6 years in the Army, several service medals for combat duty. Jack Gurney, recognized here at the ballpark today as a Birdland community hero. And having the youngster on hand, a couple of them actually, makes it all the nicer for those who are honored. Great to have him with us. Here's Tommy Joseph. He'll go to third base on the first pitch delivered. Flaherty will make the throw over. Joseph's retired 0 for 3. He's grounded out to third base all 3 times that he's been to the plate in this game.
No adjustment made right there. Flaherty ready for him.
We'll bring up their catcher. Rupp comes to the plate. He has struck out and grounded out. So Kim, Schaefer, and Trumbo now in the outfield. Adam Jones is out of there. Flaherty and Dino has come into play at shortstop. Pitch is in there for a strike. Adam Jones is going to join us today. We're going to ask him for a weather report on which direction the wind is blowing.
That way. Not the way the ball I'm hitting the ball, but hey, it was good spring training out. So I hit the ball hard. That's all I care. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, you've been hitting the ball hard all spring. You feel as good as it looks out there right now?
I'm feeling good. Feeling good. Just trying to just maintain and maintain and maintain, you know.
Did you do anything different to try to get ready for the World Baseball Classic in the offseason, Adam?
No, not really. I just told myself, you know, just take care of yourself, eat better. I went to this offseason not having to deal with any nagging injuries, so I was able to get strong. And, you know, we're benefiting right now from the results. So hopefully I can, as I go to World Baseball Classic, you know, we can bring home the gold and I can stay as healthy as possible and return to my team safely.
That ball is gone as Rupp, their catcher, delivers the first home run.
See, the wind's going that way.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where you got to go to right field, not center and left like me.
And that's exactly what he did. He got just enough of it to put it over the wall. So Rupp gets the Phillies homer, and the Phillies get a 2-1 lead. Adam, how about your own feelings about playing for USA and the World Baseball Classic?
Well, I mean, I'm an American, so it's when I was asked, it was very, very easy to say yes. I'm, you know, prideful from where I'm from, and you know, I want to represent the United States. You see all the other players from their respective countries, the passion that they have, so I want to bring that to the United States.
Has there been any smack talk in the clubhouse?
No, not yet, but I'm sure. I've been telling Manny this is the last few days he's going to speak English for 2 weeks. He's not going to speak no English over there. But I think it's all competition. It's going to be great. We see them Saturday night, and it's obviously it's sold out down in Miami. So, you know, you're going to have all the noise. That's the part that I just don't want to hear. It's going to feel like the Caribbean series, with all the bongos and the little things. But it's passion, and at the end of the day, that's why I play the game, because of the passion for it. So I'm excited.
Here is Perkins. He has reached on an error and struck out. He'll go down to third base on this one. Play will be made again by Flaherty for the out. So far as the camp's concerned for the Orioles, Adam, what do you see? What do you like?
Man, it's the same as usual. Business as usual. A lot of guys getting their work in. We're efficient. That's the thing that we harp on, is being efficient. We don't need to be out here for 5 hours. 2.5 hours is enough. And just get your work done. Mike, you see every day how we're just efficient through across the board. And, you know, I think the guys are ready to go.
Hey, does Buck have any message for you as you head off to the World Baseball Classic?
Have fun and stay healthy. That's what he just told me. You know, and I think that's the main thing. Is obviously spring training is the best thing to happen in spring training is to get through healthy. So just maintain my health.
Adam, have a great WBC, and we'll see you back here with the O's.
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
Adam Jones joining us. Ground ball will go to second base. Nice play made by Janish for the up. 1 run in. The home run hit by Rupp. Let's put the Phillies back up 2-1. One lead for the Phillies. Manny Machado out of the ball game. Manny joins us here. Manny, we were just talking to Adam about the WBC. Your feelings on it and your Dominican team?
Excited. I'm excited for it. Excited to get away from spring training for a couple weeks. And, you know, just go out there and have some fun. You know, I know it's going to be a fun time and represent Dominican in the right way. And, you know, just hopefully come out with a title.
It should be a pretty unique experience for you, Manny, to be around that caliber of players. I mean, the whole team. Are you going to try to learn as much as you can from these guys?
Oh, hands down, Bordy. I'm going to be next to everyone, picking their brains about hitting, seeing what they do, how they approach. I mean, we have, you know, on that team, 1 through 9, they're stacked just like our team. So, you know, as much as I could try to learn from them, you know, I'm going to keep trying to get better every time. So, you know, I'm lucky to have those guys next to me for a couple weeks so I could pick their brain as much as I can and see if I learn something from them.
Manny, shortstop for you here with JJ waiting to get back in. Do you still love it as much as always, a chance to play short?
Oh, definitely. It's been fun. Last couple weeks has been fun. I've been love it, and I'm just excited to be back. And you know, as much as I can enjoy it and take it in, you know, I'm going to, and you know, that's always where my heart is.
Hey, what did you do, or if anything different with your work habits coming into spring training? I've never seen you more focused when you were doing your ground ball work this spring. It was such a delight to see. I know everybody was talking about it.
Well, you know, Bordy, it's you know, we come up and we try to get better every year. You know, I mean, I know I had a decent year last year and didn't win the gold, but you know, this year you got to go out there and try to get better at something and get better. You know, and one of my weaknesses has been you know, being in every pitch, and hopefully, you know, this year I could go out there and try to be in every pitch and be in every moment and see if I could get better at that.
Is that just a matter of focus, Manny?
Yeah, hands down. You know, it's focus and, you know, just trying to stay mentally strong there. You know, not get out of it or think about your at-bats when I'm out there. You know, just try to stay in the moment, try to stay in the pitch and, you know, kind of just focus a little more.
Well, if the play you made to end that one inning, ball in the hole, is any indication of your focus, it looks like it's going to be another great year, Manny.
Well, I told Flash, you know, if you're going to jump and try to catch it, you better catch it and make the throw. You know, don't try to tip it and make it a little tougher. But, you know, just got to stay with it, stay in it, and, you know, just like I said, always, you just got to go out there and enjoy yourself every day.
Manny, thanks very much. Have a great WBC and have a great season.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Manny Machado joining us out of the ball game after starting at short. You saw Chris Davis ground out for the first out of the inning. Mark Trumbo has picked up a double and scored, and he has popped out. There are the changes. Jorge Alfaro has come in to do the catching. Knapp has come on to play at first base for the Phillies. They're split squad games today. They have a number of non-rostered players, minor league camp players who have come along with the team that we'll be seeing as the ball game moves along.
Yeah, they brought a lot of non-roster invitees into spring training this year. Unlike the Orioles, pretty small number, mid-50s for total players, and actually there was a little bit of panic with lack of infielders when JJ went down. They're starting to, you know, search around trying to find infielders. Fortunately, Giannis came up big and was able to sign with them, but they really created a lot of depth just in case one of their frontline infielders go down. You know, we talked about Andino being in the game right now and Giannis obviously starting at second base, but Johnny Giavotella came from the Angels a couple years in the big leagues, and Chris Johnson, who was Ron Johnson's son, who manages AAA, almost won a batting title in the National League a couple years ago. So there's some real good quality depth in the organization right now as far as infield positions go.
Yep. That has been very important to the Orioles to have that kind of depth available and increase on it from even what they had last year. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Mark Trumbo, outfield deep, swung around to right on him, and the breaking ball misses outside. So Asher is working his third inning, kind of surprised. Usually a couple is all they get in, but they wanted Asher to go a little further. So this is the third inning of work with only 2 pitchers having been used by the Phillies. Veda went 3, and now Asher's going 3. And will get it on the outside corner at the knee, as Mark didn't think so, and that is a strikeout.
Trumbo not liking the call right there. Looked like maybe a changeup. It came back on the outside corner. Take a look. Took a little bit off. Trumbo not liking the height at all. Let's not forget, Mark Trumbo is about 6'5" in the box right now. Tough pitch to get to there.
So Asher recording his first strikeout in the 3 innings worked. Here is Kim. Kim has reached on a fielder's choice, and he has grounded out. And the pitch will be taken for a strike at the knees. Ball game moving along. The pitchers have thrown a lot of strikes. We've had only 1 walk in the ball game. Asher issued that, and that's been the only one. Kim will pop it up left side, third base. Witherspoon backing up, and will make the play. So a 1-2-3 inning. Asher a solid 3 out of the bullpen for the Phillies. 2-1 Philadelphia. Sarasota. Changes being made for the Orioles, as Mancini is going to come in and play at first base. Chris Davis out. Rickert's going to come to left. Gentry will play in right. And on the mound, good to see Darren O'Day.
Yeah, it sure is. Darren O'Day's numbers last season, limited to 34 games. Of course, had the hamstring problem, then a shoulder problem at the end of the year. So he's bounced back and is healthy, had a great offseason, and he's looking to do some damage in the back end of the Orioles bullpen. Again, you see the opponent average just 214, holding the righties down to just 200. And Darren O'Day, of course, known for the good sinker from the side and then rise the fastball to the top of the zone. Of course, the sweeping slider that he's had masterful command over since being with the Orioles.
So Darren gets in, and the pitch will be a strike. Darren had his innings cut in half because of the health problems last year. He worked only 31 innings after having pitched 65 for the Orioles the year before, 68 year before that, 62 the year before that. So a significant decrease in what he was able to get done. That'll go to right field. It'll stay up. In fact, it was rising. Gentry started in and almost shot over his head.
Man, quite a play right there. Ball will find you. Look at him. Yeah, he just gestured that the ball was rising up through the air. Nice play.
As they say in the spring training wind, hang with them.
Ooh.
One down here in the 7th inning. Quinn has gone the distance in center field. He has struck out and flied out. In at third base is Ryan Flaherty, recognizing the speed of Romaine Quinn. He can fly down the line.
Well, Darren's had off and on struggles with left-handed hitters throughout his career. Every year it seems like he tries to develop a changeup, find ways to attack the lefties. Feel a little bit more comfortable going after them. Typically everything kind of going away from the lefty. A lot of holes get opened up.
Straight up defense with outfielders in left and center. That wind blowing the way it is. Pitch taken up and away. And the pitchers getting their work in today for both of these teams, going a little deeper than they might otherwise go. See if that continues. Darren O'Day certainly will be asked to work only one inning. Both Wright, the starter, and Aquino came on in relief work 3. Wright a run on 2 hits. Same thing for Aquino, run on 2 hits, the home run. Like Wright struck out 3, didn't walk anybody. Aquino had 1 strikeout.
Now, nice to see the pitchers aggressive in the strike zone.
Yeah.
Looked like they were all mixing up their pitches as well. So good command. Maybe this wind made him feel a little more at ease. You know, if you make a mistake, what's it going to do?
You're usually worried about putting the ball up in the air
Right.
in spring training games in Florida, because the wind, no matter what ballpark you're in, is generally blowing out. But that has not been the case so far today. 3 ball, 2 strike count. Quinn will be followed by the top of the order. That'll move Flaherty back at third base. And a great pitch. Was one of those O'Day unhittables. Down and in for the strikeout.
Yeah, real nice pitch. And I think the fact that it was so low didn't give Quinn a chance to actually pick up the spin. Nice slider spin, dive bombing down and in to the lefty. If it's elevated, he'll get a better look at it for sure. Nice spot. Nice job receiving that. You see Castillo back there reaching out, picking that ball up. Beautiful play. Nice pitch by O'Day.
Yasmiel Valentin getting his first at bat in the game. He came on to play at second base. Valentin with 2 down, nobody on. Goes after it and can't catch up to it. I don't know, first few pitches by O'Day here in this game, he looks like he did 2 years ago.
Yeah, looks good, huh?
Yeah, he's pretty confident in keeping the ball where he wants it to be. Anytime he's throwing that ball down in the strike zone and inside to these right-handed hitters, look out. Comes up a little bit inside with that 1 ball, 1 strike count.
Yeah, all about execution of pitches. Darren O'Day One of the more intelligent pitchers in the game. Loves to set up hitters. He understands what they're trying to do in certain situations. He never gets caught up in the moment. And bases loaded situations. This nerves of steel. The Orioles happy he's healthy for sure.
Darren's second outing of the spring. They waited a little bit to get his arm good and loose. He worked against Minnesota an inning, gave him no runs, 1 hit, and he had a couple of strikeouts against the Twins in his first performance of spring training for the Orioles. 1 ball, 2 strike delivery on the way, and up a little bit and got him. So Darren O'Day, very solid, retires the side in order. 7th inning stretch time, our spring game. Phillies lead it 2-1.
Spent the day in the shade of
The telecast presented by authority of the Baltimore Orioles and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Baltimore Orioles. Gary Thorne, Mike Bordick, 7th inning stretch time with the big house on end here at Ed Smith Stadium in Sarasota, where the Phillies have the 2-1 lead. And the Phillies will use their 3rd pitcher of the day, Elnieri Garcia.
Yeah, take a look at Garcia's numbers last season in Single A. 20 games, made 19 starts, picking up the 12 wins. How about a 2.68 earned run average? Gonna get you promoted in a hurry. Looking for this lefty to do some big things, open up some eyes here in Major League camp. And who knows? Seems like he's knocking on the door as well. A lot of young talent in the Philly system right now. They've done it by obviously the draft. They've also done it by way of trade, pulling in some of these young players. It's a complete rebuild over the last couple years for the Phillies, and trying to keep them knocking on the door in the National League East. Very tough division, obviously, but they are a sleeper that could cause some problems, I think, in that division.
Out of the Dominican Republic, Elnieri Garcia. He is on the 40-man roster for the Phillies. Goodell's come on to play in left field, and Perkins has gone to right field from left for the Phillies. Orioles bat here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Wellington Castillo, RBI double, picked up in the 4th inning. The Orioles scored on Trumbo's 1-out double and Castillo's 2-out double for their lone run. Each team 4 hits. Each team has committed an error in the ball game. Left-hander's delivery will be taken down low. It's one of the concerns for the Orioles because of what happened last year. How they're going to do against left-handers. They did not do well against southpaws last season. And the probability is, and Buck Showalter knows other teams are looking, that they're going to see even more left-handers this year. And Castillo is on as he picked up the walk. You take a look at the left-handed starters the Orioles are going to see in the East, starting with this unbelievable grouping with the Red Sox.
Yeah, right. I mean, landing Chris Sale this offseason. Eduardo Rodriguez might end up going to the bullpen because there's so many arms. But look at all lefties: Pomerantz, Price, and even in the other teams in the division. Happ, Liriano with Toronto, Sabathia still pitching, believe it or not. But yeah, lefties gave this team some problems last year. They brought in a new pitcher for batting practice, maybe helped the cause there. And I think it's just a mindset. And hitting coach Scott Coolbaugh has really been positive about things this spring training. I mean, you see things turn around. It's not because they can't hit lefties. It's just sometimes things snowball. And if you start off hot, typically you're going to stay hot and keep your confidence up. You better have a game plan if you're going against guys like Price and Sale.
Yeah. Price, of course, shut down now for 10 days or so, but is supposed to be ready for opening day. 1-0 delivery on the way. That'll be up high. Johnson getting his first at bat in the ballgame. The Orioles last year were last in the league in batting average, slugging, and OPS against left-handed pitchers. Right-handers, they obviously whacked away at because they had some great offensive numbers, but it was just the opposite for the lefties. And some of the guys that you thought who would hit well against left-handers did not. Mark Trumbo hit a .183. Chris Davis hit .218. Adam Jones hit .229. Matt Wieters for the Orioles last year hit .243. So even some of their right-handed hitters didn't do very well. That ball is back and off the wall. Making the turn at second base, Castillo, he'll be held at third. And the Orioles get a double. Johnson in his first at bat. And the Orioles have second and third, nobody out.
Well, Chris Johnson starting to get the timing here in spring training, starting to drive the ball on a big hit in yesterday's ball game. Here, taking a fastball down and away and driving it to right center field. Let's not forget now, he almost won a batting title a few years ago. Giavotella, the base running for Castilla, held up at third base by Dickerson. But Chris Johnson starting to swing it for sure. Very quiet in the box, limited movement, short bat path. He's looking good.
So a big chance for the Orioles to get the lead. They have not had it in the ballgame. Here is Paul Janisch batting in the 9 spot. He has doubled and grounded out. Janisch, base hit here, could bring in 2. Orioles now out hitting the Phillies 5-4, trailing at 2-1. That one off the end of the bat, right field. Center fielder Quinn over. He will haul it in. Tagging up to score, Giavotella, and moving over to third base is Johnson. And this ball game is tied, and an RBI for Paul Janisch.
A nice piece of hitting right there by Paul Janisch. This is situational type hitting. No outs on the board. You get runners at second and third. You want to drive a ball to the right side. He got it up in the air, got the sac fly out of it, and a great job of base running by Chris Johnson. The double tag gets himself to third base with just 1 out on the board.
Now the Orioles a chance for the lead, so Phillies are going to play a little situational ball here. They're going to bring the infield in. Runner at third and only 1 down. Seth Smith has struck out, walked, and reached on an error. Orioles leadoff batter. The infield will make the play at the plate if they can get it. Off-speed breaking ball. Garcia misses with that for ball 1. Well, the Orioles come back here with taking advantage of the leadoff walk, which we have talked about so many times, how that increases the chances of scoring a run in an inning. You can get that leadoff walk. That is at the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike. Not a big lead at third base for Johnson, with Featherston, the third baseman, playing about even with the bag. Left-hander with a 1-1. Speed pitch reached that and fouled off. He didn't want to do that.
Good breaking ball right there. And Seth Smith, not good numbers against lefties in his career. Gets fooled on the breaking ball and the check swing. Another strike on the board. Tough AB right here for Seth Smith. Gonna battle and grind through this. See him choking up a little bit, though. That's a good sign.
Fouls that one away. Buck Showalter will want to see Seth Smith against left-handers as much as he can here this spring in order to make a decision on what he's going to do in that regard. 202, as we said, career hitter against lefties, 33 plate appearances against left-handers last year. The infield really in. They're on the grass now. 1-2 delivery, and that'll be taken outside.
I'm surprised they're in that tight. You know, I mean, they were really cutting down their opportunity to have some range. I mean, every infielder's just about on the grass.
It's about as close as you'll ever see an infield, isn't it?
Spring training,
yeah.
Typically the fields are a little bit harder. You want to give yourself some room.
2-2 delivery on the way. Another breaking ball. Bounces. So a 3-ball, 2-strike count. Little problem here for Garcia. Asher worked the 3 innings. Gave up 1 run, only a couple of hits. Did a good job. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Infield stays in. Full count delivery on the way, and he walked him. Not close on many of those. Well, the Orioles get first and third. Only 1 out. Well, opening day going to be here in a month. Get ready for the upcoming season by getting a full or partial season plan. You get exclusive ticket savings, the most flexible MLB exchange policy, priority to postseason tickets, access for Orioles opening day. And you can get information on the full or partial plans at Orioles.com/season. Santander has come on to run at first base for Smith. The Orioles a chance for a big inning right here. Now stay out of the double play is going to be the key. And the pitch to Robert Andino is taken down low for a ball. Andino, a real aggressive hitter at the plate. He'll just be looking to get one through that infield, get a run in. The infield's backed up now to double play depth, even though still even a little shallower than that.
Yeah, they really are. I think they're looking to gun down the play at the plate. So if there's a ball hit that isn't hard and it brings them towards home, they're going to gun down the run at the plate. If it's a hard hit ball and they know they can get 2, they'll roll it up in the middle. But their depth is an indicator. They're trying to cut this run down.
Managers like to work on situations like this in spring training games, no matter what the score. Throw over, we'll get him back to the bag.
And it's a great play for the infield. You know, are they heady enough to understand what's going on, understanding the speed of the ball in this situation? I mean, double play obviously is the key here, but it's got to be hit hard enough to where you're going to be able to double up Robert Andino. If not, you're going to save that run.
Couple of hits, 15 at bats for Andino this spring. Here's the 2-0 delivery to him, and Robert will take that one away. Garcia trying to get the Orioles hitters to go after pitches that are not strikes, and they are not cooperating. And he's fallen behind here 3-0.
Yeah, showing some nice patience right now. Great at bat by Seth Smith. Wasn't in any rush.
And up high. So back-to-back walks. Santander goes down to second. Andino goes to first. Bases are loaded. And 1 away. Bob McClure is the pitching coach for the Philadelphia Phillies. Out to have a little talk here. They do have their bullpen warmed up.
Well, young lefty, just trying to settle him down a little bit, get him back in the zone. Sometimes that's all it takes. A little rub on the back. Only 22 years old.
Little reluctant to throw strikes, it looks like. Now we'll see. Got to do it here. Schaefer's going to get his first at bat, and it will come with the bases loaded. So Logan Schaefer with a big opportunity for some RBIs right here. He's had 13 at bats, 1 for 13. Does have a couple of RBIs, even with just the one hit. And Schaefer will take the pitch outside for a ball. Again, Garcia, he's just not close to the strike zone. You got to make it tantalizing enough to get hitters to go after it.
Yeah, I think Orioles batters, they better just lay off until he can prove he can throw a couple consecutive strikes.
Up the middle, knocked it down, gets one, and that's all, and a run will score. A shot back into the middle, and Garcia somehow found that and got the out at second base.
Wow. Wow. That is a rocket back to the middle. Beautiful swing. And you get a look at it. Oh, on the glove side. Had to play at the plate there, but he was thinking double play in the middle.
Boy, that was really tagged. So the RBI will be credited to Schaefer on the fielder's choice. And the Orioles get a lead here with a couple of runs in here in the 7th inning as they take the 3-2 lead. Another discussion at the mound. One to probably just give Garcia a little breathing room here after that play, and they're going to go make the change right now. So Garcia is going to come out of there. The Orioles here in the 7th inning getting the lead for the first time, 3-2. Sarasota area over the past week, and a lot of fans, snowbirds on hand here around the city, which is very busy and a really beautiful day. Ricardo Pinto.
Take a look at his numbers last year in Double-A. 27 games, made the 25 starts, picking up 7 wins, 410 earned run average, 156 innings. Good number of innings for minor league starter. And he's looking to open some eyes here in spring training.
Mancini is going to get his first at bat for the Orioles. Trey Mancini, runners at first and third. There are 2 down. Minnows delivery, the right-hander will miss up high with it. The Orioles take the lead here, 3-2, and Mancini will try and extend that. Mancini's had a hot spring. He is 7 for 16, no home runs, 3 RBIs. He's had some big hits in the early spring training games.
Yeah, he had a hot 2016 and a hot 2015 too.
Yeah.
That kid can flat out hit. Every level he has dominated. A lot of excitement about the offensive numbers he could potentially put up at the major league level, but right now not a lot of room for him.
Yeah.
It'll be very tough to get that bat in this lineup.
Yeah, a numbers question for Trey Mancini. 1-0 count, 2 down. Schaefer back to the bag. Santander, the base runner at third. Talking with Bobby Dickerson. 1-0 delivery on the way. Ground ball towards the middle. And the flip to second base. Valentin will get the out. The Orioles get the couple of runs. We have completed 7. 2 runs picked up. 3-2 O's lead. Inning, Darren O'Day back in, couple of strikeouts and fly ball out, and Darren joins us now. Darren, obviously for you, tough having to watch too much last year and not being out on the mound, and now a chance to be back. It's got to feel good.
Absolutely. You know, you miss the game when you can't be out there, and you know, I think spring training is. I was pretty excited to get here and get on the mound.
What did you have to do in the offseason to get yourself going after battling through those injuries last year?
You know what? I had a great winter working out, getting strong, getting massages. I really had some good workout partners pushing me. Yeah, it was just really worked hard the whole winter with the goal to come back and pitch well and maybe get myself a spring training win here.
Do you feel 100%?
I do. I feel better than I felt at any point last year. So hopefully I can keep it like that and keep getting the good results.
Something to work on this spring for you? Anything in particular besides just back to where you were a couple of years ago?
I think the thing I'm working on this spring training is not working on a changeup, which I've done for like 10 consecutive major league spring trainings. And I always screw around with it. I throw it so much in spring training it screws me up, and then I never throw it during the season because I'm not going to lose a game on a pitch I really don't have confidence in. So I think this spring I'm just trying to kind of fine-tune the repertoire that got me to where I am now and go from there.
How about the bullpen? How's it shaping up as the captain in most eyes of that bullpen? Your thoughts and maybe key additions.
Boy, I don't know. I think it's going to be certainly be a strength again. I think we're going to shorten some games. You know, I might be pitching 5th inning, 6th inning, somewhere around there. The way these guys are throwing. Yeah, we're going to be strong, and there's a lot of good candidates here. A lot of guys are having good springs. I'll tell you what, I know Aquino's not in the bullpen, but watching him pitch this year, he looks like a different pitcher. So it's an exciting, competition brings out the best in all these guys, and to watch him pitch is really a joy for me every day.
Donnie Hart gets the strikeout as he comes on to pitch. There are the changes now as we've got Giovatello stayed in at second base. Mancini is playing over at first base. Johnson stays in at third. And Pena's doing the catching. Now, I do have to ask, because I know getting ready there are lots of things you prepare for. And I'm wondering how you prepare to catch home run balls off Oriole bats in the bullpen, because you do it so well.
Yeah, I'm out there working hard in batting practice every day. About 4:30, the show starts. I get my shagging glove, run around, chase down some fly balls. So, once in a while when we get back to Camden, maybe I'll have to go sit in the bullpen during, early BP and learn my routes again. The ultimate catch I'm still waiting to do is, streaking across the bullpen, across that little stone path out there in the center field, sod farm right in front of the batter's eye. That's my ultimate catch. You know, when I do that, I'd probably retire. That's it. That's it. I've done it all. I'm done. Gone.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Darren, it is great to see you back, though, and feeling 100%. Thank you very much for taking time, and have a great year.
All right, guys. Thank you.
There you go. Darren O'Day, home run catcher, bullpen, occasionally pitches games.
Oh, good stuff.
He does that so often, the other guys don't even bother to jump in the bullpen anymore. If there's a ball that's hit out by the Orioles in the bullpen, he's going to get it. Donnie Hart working with one down here in the 8th inning and nobody on. Featherstone getting his first at bat in the ball game. Hart with that sweeping move towards the first base side. And that one is going to be a strike, so he'll be back. That'll take a while, so Wellington will give us an opportunity to talk to you. Wellington Castillo's out of the ball game. He'll be doing the catching for the Orioles. Wellington, how do you feel about learning the staff? Where are you in that process now, especially with the Orioles starters?
I feel really good about it. You know, I have a really good idea about what everybody has. So I think I'm in good I'm in good shape on it.
How's it been working with catching coach John Russell?
Really good, you know. He's really smart, have a lot of idea about throwing stuff and blocking and receiving. So I've been working with him about receiving and throwing. So I just learn every day, learn something new, and they're gonna make me better.
Anything about camp here that has surprised you about the Orioles or players that you didn't expect when you joined the O's?
Not really, you know. This is a good group of guys in here, so you know, a lot of guys with a lot of experience, and this is a pro team, so you know, a lot of guys with a lot of experience, like I said, and great teammates.
Well, yeah, you're looking forward to the WBC. Is that something that gets the blood running for you?
You know what? I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna enjoy my time. I'm gonna keep working on what I need to keep working, and you know, hopefully we get a win. It's everybody expect to win, but you know, we just gotta go out there and compete every day and do the best that we can.
And as Buck says, stay healthy, right?
Oh yeah, that's the more important thing. You know, I'm gonna keep doing my thing, whatever I need to do, my routine and everything to keep my body healthy.
Well, Ian, thank you. Have a great WBC, and great to have you with the Orioles.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Ian Castillo, the starting catcher for the Orioles. Gentry putting that one away in a 1-2-3 inning for Hart.
Outside corner.
First at bat for Joey Rickard. Of course, with a great spring and the year that he had until he was injured and taken out of the Orioles lineup, he was getting more the playing time than ever dreamed possible at the beginning of spring training last year. And he's having another good spring. He's gone 3 for 11, a home run, RBI. He's drawn 7 walks this spring.
Isn't that great?
That's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, it is.
So early with pitchers just trying to throw strikes.
Well, he was a big-time spark for the Orioles last year at the beginning of the season. He had an outstanding spring training. This another Rule 5 pick. Dan Duquette hunts these Rule 5ers and seems to find the lightning in a bottle. Joey Rickard, Ryan Flaherty, a lot of Rule 5s on this team. But last spring, he really opened some eyes. Defensively, was flawless. We carried that in the beginning of the season. Unfortunate injury. The bat tailed off a little bit, but his first month was very impressive. Helped the Orioles get on top.
And Rickard hits it hard and knocked down at short, but no play to be made. So that'll be a base hit. And with one away here in the 8th inning, Rickard is on.
Joey Rickard is a slasher. Here you see the diving effort by the shortstop. Great try, nice angle as he heads towards the outfield. Flag that ground ball. Doesn't stick in his glove. Would have been fun to watch him come up and try to throw Rickard out, though.
Crawford has gone the distance at short for the Phillies today. Here's Giavotella. Giavotella with a runner on at first base and 1 out. And the fastball, not 94 on the gun here in the ballpark.
Yeah, good arm. That heater getting on him quick. Giavotella, known for the bat. Good-time numbers through his minor league career, over 300. Came up with some big hits with the Angels over the past couple seasons.
In the air to right. Perkins. And he's got it for the out. Rickard back, and there are 2 down. We'll have more of Orioles baseball, spring training-wise, for you coming up this week. Wednesday, it'll be the Toronto Blue Jays. And the coverage on Masson will begin at 1 o'clock. You can log on to MassonSports.com all spring long for news and notes from Orioles spring training. So that's Wednesday at 1 for the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Chris Johnson getting a second at bat. He delivered a big double in the 7th inning in his first at bat of the ball game and came around to score. The Orioles got RBIs on a Yanish sacrifice fly and a fielder's choice by Schaefer. His dad, of course, AAA manager for the Orioles, works spring trainings along with Buck. They're in contact all year long with the player movements that take place between the minors, AAA, and the majors.
Yeah, B.J. Suroff there beside Ron Johnson, getting in his ear a little bit. Yeah, it's always spring training. It won't be for another couple weeks or so, but I know for a fact that they've already started talking about potential rosters at AAA and AA and potential trickle-down effect. And Ron Johnson, he doesn't know until the final day what his team's going to look like there in Norfolk.
They are. He's really excited about it, and Buck keeps kidding him about the talent he's going to have at AAA, because with the depth we've been talking about with the Orioles, there are going to be some really good players.
They really are.
Who are going to be at the AAA level to start, at least this year. And Ron will have probably a pretty good field to begin the season with at AAA. Good lead at first base by Joey Rickard, not going anywhere. Pitch in there for a strike, and that'll do it. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. Orioles 3 outs away from a spring training win, up by 1. Well, there's beautiful spring day in Sarasota. And at the beach and at the ballpark, good day to be in either place. Orioles have the 3-2 lead. Crowd of 7,026 on hand for this game today. The Orioles, as we said, continue to draw well and 3 outs away, hoping for a win.
We'll take a look at Parker Bridwell, who's taking the bump for the O's here in the 9th inning. 5-2 record last year, the 3.87 earned run average. Pretty impressive numbers right there. Got a taste of the major leagues. You know, he's got a big arm, and every once in a while, reports say he gets a little happy with his cutter, and that's what hurts him. But I'll tell you what, these experiences in spring training, be around the pitchers that have done it for a long time. Roger McDowell, the pitching coach. This could be the year Parker Bridwell takes off.
Alfaro will lead it off. This will be the first at bat for Jorge Alfaro. And he'll go after it. And a little line drive that gets bounced around and held on to at second base by Giavotella.
Oh, he's saying he caught it, kept his feet in bounds. Giavotella, former football player, but he was a linebacker. They never passed to him.
That was a pretty good play. That one didn't get there as fast as he thought it was going to, so he almost had it catch him.
Yeah.
Gets the out, though, on one pitch. Perkins, he's gone the distance. 4th at bat. He is 0 for 3 in the ball game. The right 3 for the Orioles. Mike Wright, a run on 2 hits, 3 innings. Aquino, he gave up a run on a hit. O'Day, an inning, couple of strikeouts. Hart, an inning with a strikeout. And now looking to wrap it up, Bridwell. And the Orioles, after their 5th spring training win, if they can get it, would bring them to 5-5.
That's some good pitching today. Oriole pitchers aggressive in the strike zone. Really impressed with Mike Wright's outing.
Wynn will hold that one up in left field. And there are 2 down. Rickert there to put it away. No, the Phillies down to 1 out to work with. And Crawford, who has gone the distance at short, will stand in. He picked up a double, and he has grounded out twice. Perkins with a home run in the ball game came in the 6th inning. That's the only long ball we've had. He's the only one who's been able to get it out towards right field. Coughlin had the other RBI for the Phillies, base hit. It came in the 3rd. Otherwise, the Orioles done a pretty good job shutting down this Phillies team, which, as we said at the top, features a lot of the starters that they'll have on the field for opening day. That one's misses down low, 2-0.
And I think the Phillies fortunate that the wind was blowing in today, too.
Yeah.
Might have been as close. Orioles offense really tagging the baseball today.
Crawford will take that one up high. Couple of hits in spring training for Crawford. He is now 3 for 17. Picked up the double here in this ball game. 3-0 delivery to him. He's taking all the way. It is there for a strike. Bridwell appearing in a ball game for the 4th time this spring. He's worked 3 previous innings, giving up 3 runs, a couple of home runs. That one fouled off, so he comes back on him and takes it full, 3-2.
Getting this far, might as well finish it up. Good pitch.
Three-2 delivery on the way, and he will walk it. So the Phillies stay alive here in the 9th inning. A 2-out free pass. And the Phillies will get a chance here, down by only 1.
I know Parker being careful with the lefty.
Tyler Goodell. The outfield will shift a bit over towards right, playing him the other way. And Goodell will take the pitch on the inside corner for a strike. Goodell with the Phillies last year. Not a lot of at-bats. He played in 92 games. Hit only 192. 4 home runs, 16 RBIs. Down on the count here, 0-2.
Well, that's Parker's favorite pitch. Hard slider / cutter, 88, 89 miles an hour. Throws it very hard.
Crawford the lead at first base. 2 down, the 0-2 delivery on the way, and that's the ball game. So Bridwell comes on, gets the strikeout, and the Orioles come away with a victory. 3-6-1 for the Orioles, 2-4-1 for the Phillies. Orioles go 5-5 here this spring with a 3-2 victory.